What was something you saw? You were definitely not supposed to see one. When I was 14, a friend hosted a birthday party at his house with all the parents invited needed to use the restroom, but the main one was occupied, so my friend told me I could use the one in his mom's bedroom. As I walked up to the door, I could hear somebody in there, so I decided to wait until whoever was in there was finished. A good 10 minutes later, my friend's mom, who was hosting the party, and another good friend's stepfather walked out and saw me standing there all confused. They asked what I was doing there, and I just said I was waiting to use the bathroom. Surprisingly, they played it cool and just said I can use it now, and walked off too. I found my dad's will. I was on his computer while he was at work and ended up finding a strangely titled Word document. At first, it didn't seem like a big deal. It contained a note to each of his kids. It wasn't until I got to the last one, my youngest brother, then I realized it wasn't just a will. The start of that line read something along the lines of, if anything is going to make me change my mind now, it's writing this part. I realized I'd found my dad's note. For his last moments, I was about 14 or 15 at the time, and I had no idea how to go about talking to him about it. I decided to just keep it to myself. He started buying us gifts and stuff, and I would get really scared as a middle schooler. I picked up a book at the library, flipped through the pages, and found an application for a replacement birth certificate for some old man. It had every detail about his personal identification on it. So naturally, I took it home thinking I'll just hold on to this, in case I ever need to assume a fake identity by pretending to be an 80-year-old man and flee the country. My mom found it and had to explain to me that no, we don't steal people's identities I was about 8 or 9 and my parents were going to be out of town, so they had me and my siblings stay with a family from our church. Once we got to the house, which was really nice by the way, they had one rule. You can play wherever you want, but the basement is off limits. Being the little rascal that I was, snuck down there the first chance I got and was supremely disappointed to only find rows and rows of plants growing under lights. Looking back, I now know what it was when I started a new job. Someone had left a bunch of HR files on the computer I was given open. One up, not sure what it was, and I got to see every employee's salary in the company, even the CEO. The next day it was gone. My boss realized his mistake and logged into my system and deleted the files. It was a memorable experience. I worked at a fancy health food restaurant years ago. One day I was early and saw the owner mixing his homemade cold-pressed garlic aioli. It was Cisco mayonnaise and a big jar of minced garlic. I was bartending and it was slow. I was putting away glasses by the only 2 people sitting at the bar. They seemed a new couple, very touchy, etc. At some point I noticed that she was wearing a wedding ring and he was not. Right as the music silenced between songs, he turned to her and said, they're going to ask you where you were when he passed. Noped out of there real quick. Hey, my parents' toy collection. That was way more reality than my 10-year-old mind was prepared to handle. 9. My mother's autopsy report. My mom passed in a car accident because she pulled me out of the way of a speeding car. It was so unreal that I didn't even cry until years later. Several years later, I was probably 16 or 17 and looking into my dad's archive for some personal documentation about myself to submit a college application. Out of nowhere, I opened this folder and found pictures of my mother lying on an operation table.